Welcome to another provider preview. I'm Julie Hatfield-Still, president of Beyond the Game Alliance. We're a nonprofit organization that holistically and proactively educates and supports student athletes in the preparation for their game, but also life beyond the game. I'm honored to have Dr. Kristina Shuffler in the room as a key provider for our alliance today. Our providers are integral to our student athletes in the areas that they need, both to up-level their game and to pursue life beyond the game. With that said, Dr. K is going to be providing yoga for athletes. Dr. K, just thrilled to have you a part of this. Why don't you welcome to the room? Welcome to the room.
Coach Julie, thanks for having me. I'm honored to be a part of the program.
Well, I was ready to dive right in. Why don't you share a little bit about your own athlete journey as a former athlete, as an athlete right now, and how it led you to what you currently do and what you currently do day to day?
Julie, I've been a multi-sport athlete since the early 80s. 11, 12 years old, softball, basketball, track, and then tennis. But track was one thing that really, probably resonated with me more, that I continue to push myself through long distance training, endurance training as an athlete, and now as a triathlete. But one important point that I felt like I was always missing out on was that balance and restoration. And that's what yoga provided to me as a younger athlete, and started to dabble in yoga. And then as a chiropractor and doctor of physiotherapy, I was able to really bring yoga to the table for myself, and then for many, many females and male athletes on and off the field. And our yoga program has evolved over 14 years. And I'm just excited to share the MAT program through meditation, affirmation, and life transformation that we provide through yoga.
I love that, Dr. K. And, I think you have such a unique background being a doctor of chiropractic medicine, and your reps you've gotten as a student athlete yourself, and then being able to bring yoga into the mix for athletes. Now, as an athlete myself, yoga was always something I struggled with. I struggled slowing down. And I know I speak not just for myself, but so many athletes out there where it's hard. And I think there's some misconceptions around yoga, because now as an entrepreneur and woman, I love yoga, right? I love it. And I wished that I was more open to the possibility of it helping me as a student athlete. So
Yeah.
what do you think yoga for athletes, how is that different than, say, maybe just maybe some of those misconceptions that we may have as athletes? Yeah.
I can certainly relate. Some of my friends who used to go to yoga, I mean, I would kind of chuckle to myself because it wasn't enough for me. I'm like, okay, see you after yoga. And I'd go to the weight room, right, on my cross days. However, I discovered power yoga. Power yoga and Kayo is something that I discovered, which is a little more faster flow, and it incorporates core stability. It's challenging. It can be challenging. And I feel like it's the perfect fit for our athletes because it's a little faster flow. We do incorporate the yoga breath, where we're inhaling that strength and positivity. We're exhaling fear, toxicities. So many athletes hold on to repetitive stress and trauma, sometimes micro trauma, just repetitive stress that builds on the field or on the courses. And this program provides core stability, upper and lower, and allows athletes to release that which may be holding them back, which really is causing them to be stuck. We often hear that in the yoga world, that I'm stuck. And that can be a mental, physical, or even emotional pattern. And our program really zones in on lower core and upper core scar tissue, if you will, and helps athletes to release that, which is holding them back from being their best self.
So good. So good. And so needed. So we know why we said yes to you, Dr. K, as an alliance. I mean, what you bring to the table is a wealth of knowledge, experience, and a heart for our athletes. What for you made you say yes to the alliance? Why did you want to be a part of this game with us?
Julie, it's so close to my heart because as a young female athlete in college, I often depleted myself. We often hold ourselves to standards that are even detrimental to a fault. I know you can relate to this, and we really empty ourselves out. And we also often think that we're the only ones. There's no one else that would understand. And this program provides community. It provides a safe place for athletes to come and share and realize you're not the only one going through this. I went through a pretty dark time as an athlete, but I was able to find a very similar program through a holistic, multidisciplinary platform. And I wanted to create that same thing and be able to give back to athletes and really get that message out there and raise awareness to them that they're not the only ones. There's so many of us that share that mindset, but there's a safe place where you can come. And I often say you come for the stretch, but you stay for the mat because it's so much more than yoga. It really provides restoration, community, and again, that release of some of that trauma that may be holding us back.
Yeah. Yeah. So good and so true. I love how you say just a safe space. And that looks different for every athlete, right? I
Yeah.
know, I want to jump to just some of the pieces of your program and affirmation. And that's something that you and I have talked about quite a bit, and that is an integral pillar in mat yoga. Why is that? What have you found about affirmation that can completely unlock the potential of our athletes?
Affirmation to me is a daily self-talk. The meditation piece is more listening and opening ourselves up. However, affirmation, it's a daily practice where we really have to change our mindset, maybe from a cup half empty, so to speak, or one thing that I really see with athletes is that comparison theory. We're often comparing ourselves to a detriment. Again, comparing ourselves to maybe other athletes, other team players. And I often say that, it's the law of comparison is the law of destruction. And affirmation provides a daily practice where we're changing that paradigm in our mind, changing our mindset from I'm not good enough to I am enough. Just so many affirmations that really lift us up, give us what we need to change that mindset. And it takes time. Another thing that I just often see with athletes too is how we define ourselves. And it's often based on someone else's opinion, whether that be a coach or again, another player or a parent. And we define ourselves in a negative way. And we really have to release that. And through daily affirmation, we learn to transform and transition our mindset to more of, again, that positive mental talk, self-talk, which will over time transform us into a more positive, healthy individual.
Yeah. And I just keep thinking on how beneficial that is in the game, right? So not only is this something that is setting our athletes up for success long term, because quite literally getting the skill, because it's a skill, right? It's a
It is.
skill that when you practice, right, and it becomes a habit, it's going to last way after we hang up the cleats and lay down the jersey. So I just love being able to get in the room with student athletes around this, because we know when they take hold of this, right, it can be transformational.
I've worked with athletes from 11 years old all the way up to, I have female athletes in their 80s that I still work with through triathlons. And it becomes part of your lifestyle. And you'll find, I know you say, yoga wasn't enough, but you'll find that it can be the perfect piece to balance our athletes mentally, emotionally, and physically, and even spiritually as we bring in that meditation.
You know, yoga wasn't enough, but you're getting enough in all of the other areas. Yoga brings an element of balance and flow to the game. And you mentioned earlier restoration, which rest
Yeah.
and restoration is huge in athletics. What do you see, especially as a chiropractor, Dr. K, when student athletes are not getting rest and restoration? What's happening?
What's happening at a very young age is the recovery process isn't taking place. They're burning themselves out mentally. We know that. Physically, the body is pushing through to a certain extent. However, scar tissue is laying down. We often see, trauma is not always with the big T. It's usually micro trauma on and off the field. And we even see like an athlete goes through an injury, an ACL tear, and they get PT, they may have surgery. However, the missing link may be that restoration, that rehab phase, the ongoing rehab restoration that needs to take place really long term to allow that scar tissue to not build. I mean, I know as a chiropractor, research shows scar tissue lays down every 14 days. That's why we really stress, maintenance, lifestyle care, as you experienced in our office as a wellness patient. So yeah, scar tissue is a real thing, and it's usually from repetitive stress.
And it's a lifelong thing. I know, decades out from playing competitive sport, I still experience the repercussion of not only injury, but some of those micro traumas that I experienced, on the field as a collegiate athlete. So it's so real. And although I think when you're in sport, it's hard to look that far ahead. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the student athletes and their experience right now.
Okay.
Who needs to take advantage of this? What is their experience that they are going through right now? What are they feeling? I heard a little bit of maybe burnout, maybe a lack of rest and recovery. What maybe are the emotions or the experience that the student athletes are going through right now that they need to get in the room with you and us at Beyond the Game Alliance?
Pressure, physical, mental, emotional pressure. I feel um, in talking and working with athletes. I feel like it's just there's a day-to-day stress of what they're going through, what's expected of them. Um, whether it be from junior all the way up to D1, there's a schedule they have to attend to and uphold, and just the standard that they're held to. And again, the yoga program is a safe place where they can come even once a week. It will provide such an amazing time of rest, time of safety, and just a time where they can let go and leave it on the mat, whatever they're dealing with. And, not only are they an athlete, they're a student, they're a daughter, they're a sister, a brother. I mean, there's so many other extraneous variables that they're dealing with on the outside. So again, just a place where they can come and share, maybe let go, share what they're dealing with, no matter what that is. Leave it. I always say, leave it on the mat. Don't pick it back up. We are really big on exhaling that fear, that insecurity, that issue that you're dealing with, and then finding that reconnect. You and I always say, eyes up, rise up, heart to the sky, find that higher power, that strength that can get us through the day to day.
So good. Well, if you are tuning in and you feel that this is a need of yours, definitely get in the room with Dr. K. If you're in the Alliance, if you are not yet in the Alliance, let's start that conversation if this is a space that you want to be a part of. Dr. K, thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate your knowledge, your experience, but especially your heart for these athletes and uplifting them.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, here at the Alliance, our mission is to truly support these athletes in their game and beyond. And we know how important this piece of their game is to not only success in the game that they're playing right now, but lifelong success and fulfillment. Since we are a nonprofit, we invite you to join our mission to help fund all of these incredible resources for our athletes. There's three great ways to get started with us. If you're an athletic director, a leader, a coach, or a parent of student athletes junior year and above, you can become an aligned partner and allow us to come and fully service your athletes. And that's junior year in high school. We start this early, proactively, and we start the discussion and have it often. You can also become an aligned provider like Dr. K. If you have a special skill set, a heart for these athletes, and you speak athlete yourself, let's definitely talk. You can become a corporate sponsor if you're a business owner who has a heart for these athletes and you'd like to be a part of the mission to serve them. You can learn more about us and ways to give at beyondthegamealliance.org. And if you want to stay in the loop, I definitely recommend subscribing to our YouTube channel and check us out on social media so you keep up to date in all of the happenings here at the Alliance. Again, Dr. K, thank you for your time today, and we will see you on the mat soon.
Absolutely.